Hey, what's up guys? Cowboy Kronk coming to you from Houston, Texas. The Kronk channel, giving you the up-to-date, most informative information that I can at this point concerning a few things. If you guys checked out the title of the video, I want to go over and discuss Rico Gathers. I also want to discuss our man here, Earl Thomas. And I also want to discuss a little bit the defensive line interior real quick, as we'll see that play out this week, hopefully in the game coming up. First off, I want to show a video. I'm sure you guys have seen this video, possibly seen this video before. It is old, but there's something that I caught in this clip in the locker room from Earl Thomas last year after the game that I didn't catch before. You guys might have seen this. As you guys recall, he went to the locker room. I know I'm going way back and talking about stuff we've discussed 100 times before, but this clip might be something you haven't seen. It was new to me, and it really said something that I liked hearing. So let me jump and show you this real quick. I hope the sound is okay. I moved to another. I did order a microphone. The microphone will be here tomorrow. I went to Best Buy, went through all those things, and the best thing to do was to order one online. So let me check, make sure you can hear this.
Like, come get me now. You know, I'm still in the prime of my career. I still want to be here. But when Seattle, I don't literally mean like, come get me now. You know, I'm still in the prime of my career. I still want to be here. But when Seattle kick me to the curb, please, the Cowboys, come get me. You know,
And now my internet wants to slow down.
That's the only place I was going to be. You know, if I get kicked to the curb. So that's what I meant by. And you know, people take life too serious.
All right, I'm gonna play this one more time.
I don't literally mean like, come get me now. You know, I'm still in the prime of my career. I still want to be here. But when Seattle kick me to the curb, please, the Cowboys, come get me. You know,
all right, I'm gonna pause. I don't know what's going on now.
That's the only place I was going to be. You know, if I get kicked to the curb. So that's what I meant by. And you know, people take life too serious.
Sorry guys, that's from a website that has a lot of. It does have a lot of. Pop-ups and stuff like that. So let me close that and get that off of here so that I can. All right. Here's what I wanted to go into, but basically what he was saying, Earl Thomas. This was after the locker room scene. He went to the locker room and they made a statement. Hey, what was that you did with Jason Garrett? Basically, what he said was, you know, I just went to say, you know, I'm not talking about come get me right now. I'm talking about what if Seattle kicks me to the curb. He saw this coming. Earl Thomas saw this coming because of the same situation they had with Cam Kelly, and they felt the tension. There's a big thing, the defense against the offense there. The defense was kind of against Pete Carroll because of the situation with Marshawn Lynch. Marshawn Lynch was really, really close to the defensive guys. So that's how come some of these things were visible right off the bat. Also, as you guys know, but what he said was the only other place he wants to be is in Dallas. If Seattle kicks me to the curb, please come get me, because the only place I want to be is Dallas. In the video I'm about to show you here, these guys are entrained in the Dallas. They work for the Dallas Cowboys. They do get in on the loops. This guy here is, I can't recall his name, but their names are, they change this channel all the time, and then they rotate guys out. But this guy's really good friends with the GM, and he gives some important information concerning a conversation he had with the general managers of Seattle. He actually says people in the general management, the executive management of Seattle, a few of those guys have said, let's just cut him. Let's just let him go. Let's get this situation over. Let's move on. And he explains that later. I'll show that in the video. I just wanted to go over that real quick. Let me get my YouTube page going here now that I have that open. Sorry guys, I had it open and closed it. I didn't have my glasses on, which doesn't help. So let me go live here. Pause it. Check the volume. Check the volume. Okay. Yeah, everything sounds good, guys. I'm gonna start the video here. real quick, I'm going to switch over. I'm going to switch over to a situation with Tyrone Crawford and Randy Gregory, and they're going to explain how the line is working in practice. This is video right before practice yesterday, and it discusses the situation with the 3-tech and Tyrone Crawford, and it also discusses this is going to give Randy Gregory a lot more play time if we can get Tyrone Crawford to play a little 3-tech. So that's where we are right now. Then I'll switch back to the Earl Thomas thing. Also, these guys discussed the Rico Gathers situation, and they explained his situation with getting some first-team reps. He does get some first-team reps now, and they also explained a play where a blitz package came in. Rico did exactly what he was supposed to do. He checked the linebacker, went into a quick response, because the blitz was coming. He picked up the play perfect. They made the first down. Dak threw the ball to Rico, and he got the first down on a play where the blitz was right in Dak Prescott's face like that, but Rico ran the quick route and got him out of that situation. So here we go, guys. I hope you can hear this. If you're having trouble with the audio, let me know. I will turn this up all the way.
I'd let him play a little free technique with Antoine Woods. So yeah, so and this was base defense. This wasn't nickel or anything like that. So yeah, it's going to say if he's going to play, let's put our best ones out there. So Gregory's at that right end.
They're moving.
Crawford either in the base or in the nickel to probably get some opportunity to be more of that under tackle, which I didn't think they would really want to move him, but again, this is just a way of looking at Randy Gregory a little bit more.
Well, they were in shells, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So that was an easier practice for Randy kind of to move in with that.
Right.
So do you think Crawford's a play center for Malik Collins, or is Antoine Woods?
As you guys know, with Malik Collins out with the foot, we're a little short on defensive tackle. David Irving is out with the suspension, so it's working out again where Tyrone Crawford has become more valuable than he was before. He's having to move inside, so that that leaves a spot open. The best player to fill that spot is Randy Gregory. So what they're doing is the packages we've got, they're putting the best guys on the field available, and if you have to move out of your position a little bit, that's fine. As you guys know, they were trying to move Tyrone Crawford out and leave him there, but at that time, they didn't know what was going to happen with Randy Gregory. We got Randy Gregory here now. Everything is going smooth with that. We know that that's coming back. So we're going to move Tyrone Crawford in, especially on like your second and third passing situations. Tyrone Crawford can move inside. They'll bring Randy Gregory in for pass situations. So I'm going to move on now. That's the situation with Randy Gregory. They're trying to get him more playing time. I'm going to move to 1635 for some more Earl Thomas information. 1635, here we go.
Other things of note, the other spot that everybody's keeping an eye on is safety. And you got Kayvon Frazier working with the first team.
Yes.
Next to Jeff Heath, and I think the plan right now is you kind of flip-flop roles and you play Heath back, more in a free safety type role, and have Kayvon play a little closer to the line of scrimmage.
This is true, yes.
They signed a rookie. Now
So first off, what they've done is they've switched Heath and Frazier. Xavier Woods was going to be our free safety. He was going to be our center field, and Heath was going to be the strong safety, which is actually the weaker of the two safety positions normally. So what they've done is they've moved Heath over to the free safety, and they're looking at putting Kayvon Frazier in the weaker position at the strong safety. Then behind that, we've got the new guy, Jerron Johnson, who came in from Seattle. He has a reputation and has worked with Keith Richard before. He did, as I said yesterday, he did 4 years in Seattle. Then he went to Washington for a year, and then they brought him back. Doesn't have a lot of playing time. I think he only started like 4 to 6 games, but he knows the system. He's a good tackler. He can play both the free and the strong if needed because of his size. So You know, also he's from Boise State. As you guys know, we have a roster full of Boise State players. Leighton Vander Esch, DeMarcus Lawrence, Tyrone Crawford, and now Jerron Johnson. So those guys, they like Boise State. We don't know if that's coming from Jason Garrett or if it's just, luck. But we seem to carry a lot of Boise State players. And he does have some veteran type play in him, and he can help keep Richard until we solidify the safety position. There's no way this situation is over. And the reason I say that is we passed. Not only we passed, we didn't even look at like Kenny Vaccaro. We didn't even really take a look at him. Also, we just had the situation where the Bengals cut a really good safety. He had a little bit of drop off, and the drop off was similar to the Dez Bryant situation. Dez Bryant, excellent receiver, but he wasn't worth $16 million anymore. This guy was supposed to make 6.8 or 6.6 million this year, and they felt like he wasn't worth it. That's why they cut him. They cut him to save the cap money because they felt like he wasn't worth $6 million. Dez Bryant was worth maybe $6 million, but he wasn't worth 16. So that was the reason for cutting Dez, as you guys know, and to make the offense Dak friendly. So we not only passed on these safeties, Ed Reed, another one. We're not even contacting them. I think the reason is they know the Earl Thomas thing is going to happen. They're just waiting for the situation. We cannot go into the season this thin at safety. And as this preseason goes on, there's going to be injuries at other teams, and someone is going to. If we don't do this quick, we're going to lose Earl Thomas. They're going to trade him. Now, if they trade him, Seattle has the rights to trade him. They could trade him just like they did the Kawhi Leonard thing in basketball. I know it's a completely different sport, but Kawhi Leonard wanted to go to a certain team, and they had the rights to him. They traded him to where they wanted him to go because they got something for him. If somebody calls Seattle tomorrow and offers them what they want, they have the rights to trade him, and there's really nothing he can do about it except hold out at that place as well. And as you guys saw in the first video, Earl Thomas said, I was only explaining to the Dallas Cowboys that I want the Cowboys to come get me if Seattle kicks me to the curb. The only place I want to be is the Dallas Cowboys. That's what he said. If I'm not in Seattle, I want to be in Dallas. And he said that. So that makes it more favorable for us. We know he wants to be here. And these guys will mention also, Earl Thomas wants to be the highest paid safety in the NFL. Yeah, I'm getting a microphone, bro. I got one coming. I ordered it yesterday. I went to Best Buy, and they didn't have what I wanted, so I ordered one on Amazon Prime. It'll be here tomorrow. Thank you, Amazon Prime. I'll get that fixed. For now, I'll try to step up as close as I can to the microphone. But we passed on these safeties. Earl Thomas, as you guys know, Earl Thomas wants to come to Dallas. He wants to be the highest paid safety in, my Joe Boo t-shirt. I gotta rock my Joe Boo. That's my homeboy, man. But Earl Thomas wants to be the highest paid safety in the NFL, or he wants to be in Dallas. I think in Dallas he would be okay with being, in the top 3, top 4, because there's not much of a difference there. Plus in Texas, as you guys know, there's no state tax, so he would save probably close to $1 million just being with Dallas. And currently, his fines are around $1 million. But let's see, the 2nd of September is when everything takes effect. You're looking at, he's going to be fined $800,000 per game that he misses. So close to $1 million a week. When I know 200,000 is a big difference. But that's where we're at right now. Let me move the video forward. I hope you guys can hear the video.
Trying to get through practice here right now, so they signed Dominic Sanders.
No relation to Dion.
No relation to Dion.
These are the safeties they signed this week.
Just to get those numbers up, and they were going to work out Jerron Johnson, a former guy who was around Seattle when Richard was there.
It's not like they're going to sign him. Not to be confused with Jerron Johnson.
Yes.
Quarterback from Texas.
He was in Diego.
They gave Jaron Johnson, Jeron, who has
Okay, I just jumped forward just a little bit because they get off track a little bit. It's a long show. So how come we see everything backwards? Oh, really? I'm not sure. I have to check. Everything is backwards? Oh, I know what you're, yeah. Probably because of the video is.
This is history with Chris Richard.
So,
in Seattle.
yeah, and so at this point, I think, Brian, they're just trying to get by. You know, I think their hope is that if Xavier Woods is not ready for week 1, then he's ready for week 2. And, you know, they'll keep an eye out for safety.
I really think these safeties they picked up this week are just to get us through these next 2 preseason games so that we can work on the Earl Thomas thing. Because we can't keep a safety that's on the lower end of our totem pole that's not going to help us, and he's going to take a roster spot. Also, the reason safety is important, as you guys know, Kayvon Frazier and Heath, they play every special teams play we have. So not only are they important at safety, they're important on special teams. We're not going to be able to play them on special teams if they have to take every damn safety snap on defense. You're looking at injuries, as you guys know, on special teams. They're trying to cut back on these special team injuries, and we're going to have 2 of our at our thinnest position. Yeah, he left for the Vikings today. I got that here in the notes. They signed him up early this morning, I believe, or late last night. I saw the news when I got up. So, yeah, that's what I'm saying. We're passing on these safeties that are quality safeties, and everything I get, we're not even researching trying to bring those guys in. So if we're not researching trying to bring that guy in, Kenny Vaccaro that was signed a couple weeks ago, Ed Reed is still out there. We're not even talking to these guys. So if we're not, I know for a fact the Earl Thomas thing is still in effect. We're too weak at safety. We're too thin. They're going to have to make something happen. So let me jump forward.
Safety help, but right now it looks like they're just trying to get some bodies in here.
Who was behind?
2 rookie free agents.
Both, yeah, Cam Kelly and Robinson.
Tyree Robinson. We asked Chris Richard after practice, have you ever been this young in camp in preseason right there? He said, yeah, 2012 Seattle. He didn't name names, but it's happened.
Well, it was all those young DBs. They were all rookies at
Well,
that time.
you know, he's going to coach whoever he has, and you know, obviously they.
So what they're discussing now is the safety situation. If we do have an injury, you know, you've got free agent rookie coming in, and then a late round pick, Cam Kelly. I think that's all they've got. You know, so we've got to do something. That's why they brought these bodies in, basically to get us through these practices, so that, you know, at least we have people in the position and get us through these last 2 games. But I suspect something to happen this week. We can't carry those guys on the team. They're not strong enough to carry on the team. We know that. And it's really crazy. With 90 guys on the team right now, we have to go down to 53. With 90 guys, we don't have safeties. That, to me, that's crazy. When there's safeties out there on the market, they're not going to get. To me, that obviously means they're waiting on the Earl Thomas thing. They're going to pull the trigger when the trigger's right. He knows the scheme. He doesn't need to learn anything. He just needs to get in there and build a little teamwork with the guys. I suspect that would take a week or so. So I'm really looking at something this week or next week, and I'm hoping that that's when the trade is made.
Adding a couple of guys that he has some familiarity with, so that in itself, I think, is a good thing. That, you know, that he can at least they've heard him, they understand his coaching style, they understand how he's going to go about things, terminology, and all that will hopefully help. And actually,
in 12 personnel, right?
yeah,
Swing?
yeah, and actually, Rico Gather.
Okay. Now I'm going to switch over to the Rico Gathers thing for a second. Discuss what's going on with Rico. Yeah, we need to see what they can do. That's what they're going to do this week. They're going to test those safeties out. I'm sure they're going to rotate them. But they did state our corners are locked. Chidobe Awuzie is playing too well at corner. He's not being moved to safety, as well as Byron Jones. Byron Jones is a lock at corner. Jason Garrett, as you know, Jason Garrett always likes to kind of give an open-end answer, so he's not stuck to making any decisions, or, you know, nothing's his fault. That's what I feel like sometimes. he won't make, he made a statement that was kind of open about Byron Jones or Chidobe Awuzie. When he was asked about it, he kind of stated, we'll see what happens, Keith Richard said no. I have my corners are set. Byron Jones is a corner, Byron Jones is a corner, Byron Jones is a corner. He said it like 4 times and that was all he said. Like, end of story, drop it. How many times do I gotta say it? So, Byron Jones is not moving. They're gonna fix the safety within the safety guys they got or bringing people in. They're not moving anyone. We already have 2 safety. So that's a really good thing. I think as they know, those 2 guys have played really well at safety, so there's no reason to move them. Let me go on to the,
and I've been very critical of Rico Gathers. I think a lot of people have, just the knowledge of Rico Gathers and what he's trying to do. Not the athletic ability, but the what he does as a player, what he's supposed to know, assignment-wise. They had a hot read yesterday where they brought Sean Lee off the corner, and what happened, Rico Gathers read what was going on with the situation, ran the route, got past the sticks, Dak Prescott hit him with the pass, he caught it, got the first down. So I have been critical of him not knowing what to do, but he obviously yesterday got an opportunity and took advantage of it with a good hot read. And so if he can have more of those types of plays, that would be very beneficial for his cause.
One more thing.
okay. Rico Gathers, good news right there. They put him with the first team. That's what they're scared of. That's the reason they haven't ran him with the first team. They're scared he's going to miss a blocking assignment, not miss a block. There's a lot of times he'll line up as a tight end, and he has to read the defense, see what they're in. He has to make a decision on blocking this guy and holding the block, or sometimes it's a check block and go out for a hot read if there's a blitz. That's what happened yesterday. He read the play correctly. He chipped the linebacker. He rolled into the flats. Dak Prescott hit him with the ball, and Rico Gathers went for the first down. And they were like, hey, there's certain things. It's not when they say the blocking or the assignments or knowing the playbook. If you look at the playbook, a lot of the, especially with tight end, a lot of the situations, there's options depending on the defense. You do this if they're in this defense. If they're in a zone, there's different things you have to know as a tight end. You don't just line up and say, okay, I'm going 5 yards and out. Okay, I have to block the guy in front of me. Sometimes you have to chip the defensive end in and pick up the linebacker. Those are the things he's having to learn and he's having difficulty with. And what they're saying here is he's going to miss a block or miss a blocking assignment. Not when I say miss a block, I mean he's going to evaluate the play wrong. He's going to evaluate the defense wrong, and you're going to have a linebacker coming at Dak Prescott taking his head off, or a defensive lineman, hitting Zeke in the backfield full speed because he had a key block on that assignment, and he just ran his route instead of blocking like he was supposed to. He selected the wrong option. That's what they're concerned about with Rico Gathers. So I understand the dude is a beast. He has to make the team. I really don't think they're going to cut him. One of the other scenarios that some of the guys are looking at, a lot of the YouTubers and these guys as well, some of the scenarios that they're looking at is the fact that what if they keep Rico, they pump him up this next week or so, and then they trade him? Because they've got him 3rd on the depth chart, but as far as all of the practices and the scenarios, he's down he's the number 4 guy by easily, if you look at the reps. He's our 4th tight end, but for some reason they've got him listed at the 3rd. And a lot of times the guys they trade, they'll pump them up right before, and then they'll put them on the trade block. I hope that doesn't happen. As you guys know, Mark Holmes, Joe Boo, I messaged him something because I don't know if it's true or not, but I did search Instagram, and I'm not really good with Instagram, but apparently there is 100%. There's a website out there called not the website, Instagram page called Fire Jason Garrett. Supposedly a while back, Rico Gathers liked one of the jokes or a comment on there. And that's why he's kind of in the doghouse with the coaching staff. They think he's not fully on board, and then the rap thing that he was doing before, and all of this is way back. Now, he's gotten off Instagram, he's not doing the social media thing too much anymore. He's trying to clear that up, but that might have hurt him to the point where the Cowboys think his integrity is not there with the Cowboys. So, let me check the chat box real quick, guys. I do want to check in with you. I got a few more to go. Just wanted to say hello to some of the guys on. X Factor, hey Crunk, if they do not solve safety, Panthers are going to roast those guys. Yeah, that's our first game, so maybe Cam Newton will light us up for 300, 400 yards, and we'll see. The first game, actually, guys, we gave up 240 passing yards. And in the second game against San Francisco, we gave up 330 passing yards. So we're middle of the road right now. And one thing is, right now, teams are passing the ball a lot more. And the reason they're passing the ball a lot more is because blocking schemes are real simple. It's a lot simpler than your blocking scheme for a rushing game or a rushing attempt or a run play. It's a lot more simple. So that's one of the reasons in preseason you see a lot more passes. You're trying to figure out who your receivers are. You're trying to get some coordination with your receivers, your tight ends. That's more difficult than a run play, turning around, handing the ball off. You'll see in preseason, you'll see a lot of play action because those plays, it just works different. So like right now in preseason, most of the teams are averaging about 40 attempts, passing yards. And most of the teams also are not running the ball as much. So let me move forward to the video. I just want to check in with you guys. Let's see, Stephen, what's the thought of they were trying to do is with him and trade bait? Seattle's lost Jimmy Graham and and that might be what they're looking at. I spoke before that I thought maybe Mike White. I spoke maybe before that maybe Mike White could be trade bait for this Earl Thomas thing. So you put Mike White and Rico Gathers together. I don't want to see Rico go, but would I rather have Rico Gathers or would I rather have Earl Thomas? And give them that third-round pick they wanted. They wanted a third-round pick, or actually they wanted a first-round pick. They wouldn't take the second round during the draft. And they discussed that on the video. Let me move forward on the video, and they really give a good explanation about what happened during the draft when we were trying to get Earl Thomas in. They really give good information on that. Let me move forward to that real quick. Go back to the
on the safety situation. Chris Richard, I wish we had the audio for this, but he was asked after
practice
about Byron Jones, would you give any thought to moving him back to safety? And Jason Garrett, he never really leaves anything. He doesn't give you definitive stuff on this. Because he doesn't want to come back and play it back on him. Chris Richard said, Byron's a corner.
He said it how many times?
He said it like 6 times for emphasis. And I wonder if that's what he had to say privately to Byron. Like, don't worry, okay? You're doing great. We're going to keep you right here. And that's the plan right now.
Well, that's another one of those deals. If you're so...
Take these questions.
Okay, what was the question?
About the Pacific Northwest guy. When does that happen? Earl Thomas. When does that happen?
All right, guys. They're about to go in and explain exactly how the Earl Thomas thing went down during the draft, what went on, who made phone calls, how the phone call went, what they were asking for, what we were willing to give, and why it didn't happen during the draft. And the reason was, we got there at 50. It was going to happen. Seattle was happy with the 50th pick. As you guys know, we took Connor Williams. We didn't make the trade for Earl Thomas because at the time, it came up, it was our turn to select, and Connor Williams was sitting there, and at the last second, we backed out. The Cowboys backed out of that trade because we wanted Connor Williams to solidify the line play. So let me play that for you real quick.
That happens when Seattle says, you know what, we understand that our backups, the backup guys we have, the guys we've been using right now, are better. Not better, but we're comfortable with them. That's where I think when Seattle has to come to the realization that, you know what, we'll take the pick now instead of waiting until 2020.
Along those lines, I saw an interview, or heard an interview with Pete Carroll last week. Guess who he said was the most impressive defensive player in camp?
Well, it had to be their safety.
It was Tedrick Thompson.
Tedrick Thompson from Colorado.
So we're getting some things in our favor now. Seattle's having practices, and Pete Carroll, man. Hey, are we still there, guys? Somebody shoot me a message. I think I lost connection for a minute. I want to go back over, I want to explain this situation here. I lost 2 guys. I think we're on. Are we still good, guys? This is ghetto. All right. I'm going to move forward. At least it'll be on the video. If you guys pick up and check, watch through the video. But what they were saying is Seattle's most impressive player so far in camp has been one of their safeties. So they've also said, they've stated, some of the general management there in Seattle is ready to just cut ties, let him go, let's let this happen. If he holds out, if Earl Thomas holds out and does not complete the season, or he walks away at the end of the season, they get a compensatory pick, but not till 2020. If we make a trade, that's an important part. They get that pick in 2020. So for them to make a trade with us does benefit them, even though it's just a 3rd round. They were going to get a 3rd round anyways, but that's for another 2 years. They have to wait for that. If we trade them a 3rd round, and we trade them a Mike White, a Rico Gathers, or one of these guys, or one of our other, I say actually one of our other tight ends, Seattle is thin at quarterback, tight end, and offensive line. The problem is we're thin at offensive line now as well with a couple of the injuries we have already. So, to me right now, give them a 3rd round pick, and Mike White or Rico Gathers or one of the other tight ends. I prefer it to be one of the other tight ends because to me Rico Gathers is completely different than the 3 tight ends we have. I think we have, let's say, we have 3 Tigers in Schultz, Darwin, and the other one I can't recall right now, and the 3 tight ends, and Rico Gathers is a bear or a lion, or it's a little different. Hey, what's up, Hawk? Hey, jump back and watch the video from the beginning. I gave a lot of new information on Earl Thomas. Not new information, a lot of it's evaluating the old information and what's going to happen. But these guys are putting out information that Seattle is happy with the safeties they got. They do want to cut ties with Earl Thomas, but they want the right trade to happen. So the Cowboys have got to reach out and do that. We've passed on. We're not even checking on these other safeties that are available. If they're not checking on those safeties, it's obvious that the Earl Thomas thing is in the works. It's very obvious the Earl Thomas trade is in the works because these other safeties that have come through, we're not even checking on them. I mean, the George Igaye was from, and I know I butchered his name. He left Cincinnati yesterday, and the Cowboys didn't even contact him. He's a very good safety. Played 3 or 4 really good years in Cincinnati. So, as they're saying now here on this one, we've got to clarify the safety position, or
Yeah.
September 2nd.
See, that's where I think.
Now, he said that on a national radio show. Is there a reason other than the truth that he might have said something like that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think they're trying to pump up their guys, but I talked to some people, some national guys that have been through Seattle's camp, and they say he is legitimately playing well. That they feel like now. I've also been told this, and again, I know the guy, the GM there, he won't talk about it, he just won't do it. But I know some people in their organization that are like, let's just move on.
See, they want to move on from Earl Thomas.
You know, I mean, they got guys like John and then like.
So the situation is, he knows the GM. He's not allowed to discuss these kind of things with him, but he knows for a fact. I mean, these guys are entrenched in the Cowboy training every day. They're even around the weight room. These guys are around Cowboys all day. That's their job. They do the show from the start. They of course get you have friends from other teams and guys as you guys know, people move around and change teams. So he happens to know the general manager at Seattle, and he's saying, he's heard he thinks they were ready to move on. It's in their general management. He said he's heard whispers. Sometimes when there's smoke, there's a fire. There's a lot of smoke in Seattle. There's just not a lot of smoke in Dallas. But the smoke is, we're not looking at other safeties. If we're not looking at other safeties, I think we feel comfortable with how this is going to play out. I'm only scared that Seattle is going to make a move and ship Earl Thomas off to somewhere he doesn't want to be because another team is going to have an injury at safety or a couple injuries at safety, and they're going to jump on Earl Thomas, and he's going to have no choice. He's under contract. If they trade him, he's gone. They have the rights to him. That's how it is. Sounds like slavery or something. I don't mean to say it that way, but guys, that's the situation when you sign a contract. He's holding out. He has the right to do that. I believe he should be holding out. He deserves more money. He wants to come to Dallas, and as the video said, he stated in the video, I only want to be in Seattle and be the #1 paid safety. If they're going to kick me to the curb, I only want to go to Dallas. That's why I went to the locker room. He went to the locker room because he wants to be paid in Seattle or he wants to play in Dallas. So we don't have to pay him like Seattle's going to have to pay him. We could get him cheaper than Seattle will. He wants to be the #1 paid safety in Seattle, or he wants to play in Dallas. So if we can make that happen, we can pay him 11.5 or 12 or 12. He doesn't need that Barry money. Plus, like I said before, Texas is much cheaper, no state tax, those things are going on. So the general manager, Seattle is ready to get rid of him, but Dallas has not brought forth the trade that Seattle's wanting. Like I said, Seattle, if they lose him, they get a 3rd round pick automatically. They get a compensatory pick, but they don't get that till 2020. If we trade them a 3rd round, they get that 3rd round next year, or whenever the Dallas offers the 3rd round. If it's a 2018 3rd round pick, then Seattle will get a 2018 Rico, another. Hey, what's up, B. Will? How you doing? Yeah, I hope so. I think they're going to give him a chance. I'm just hoping. There's some speculation with Rico that they might be setting Rico up to trade with Seattle. Now, this is just speculation off my head and what I'm seeing. They don't like Rico too much. They don't want to play him. They moved him up to the third tight end, but Seattle really needs a tight end. They also need a backup quarterback, and we need a safety. We're heavy at tight end, but we don't have any experience there. We have 0 experience. We have 9 catches. Rico Gathers actually has more catches, I think, than all of the other tight ends. If you look at their catches and you add preseason, Rico Gathers, I think, has the most catches right behind Swain. Swain only has 9 catches in regular season, and Rico Gathers is right behind that. He had 7 last year, and then he had, I think, the 3 or 4 catches this year. So he's at about 11. Swain is probably around 13 catches. It's ridiculous. We're thin there, but we have no #1. We really have no #2. We don't know what we're going to do. So if they want Rico, I'm for it right now. I probably am going to hate myself. But if Rico Gathers trade gets us Earl Thomas, hey, to me it's a closed book. You make the move. So let me go back. We'll finish this statement on the general manager from Seattle.
Keep him, but they've got others in that organization that are saying we need to move on. And I'm putting the ball in Seattle's court here. I'm saying if they want to get this done, they can call the Cowboys and figure out a way to get it done.
Okay,
Yeah, for a second.
from the Cowboys' perspective,
While we're all at the LSU Miami game.
yeah, from the Cowboys' perspective, when do you least want to make a trade?
Least?
Least want to.
And when you're in weakness.
Right now.
Yeah, when you're
We're really
in weakness right now because you just lost your starting.
Well, but they may not want to spend $8.5 million
That's right.
on a guy they don't think they want to play.
And they're
so
dealing
if
from a
that-
position of weakness
And if
right
I
now.
start feeling that, then it's a conditional 4th that could move to a 3rd.
You remember the first question that they?
Chaz Green. Can Chaz Green make this team? I would say at this point, I would say no. If they're going to keep 8 offensive linemen, Brian just broke it down for you, 3 backups.
And you can't hold them accountable for Ioka.
Okay, now they're talking about Ioka. You know, we didn't even make a phone call. We didn't even try to go get the guy. He's there. you know, Cincinnati just cut him because really he's more expensive than he was worth. It wasn't that he was a horrible player. It's just they were paying him more than they thought he deserved. So it was easier to cut him than try to redo the contract. The NFL bargaining, the Players Bargaining Association really doesn't like teams trying to renegotiate contracts. Once you sign a contract, they want you to either cut the guy and let him go, or re-sign him, you know, or renegotiate his contract. They don't like you renegotiating contracts down. It's bad business that they look at it that way. It helps the team out, but it's really something negative for the players, so they don't like to do that. So Cincinnati cut him. He was a good safety, and he got picked up like that. The Cowboys didn't even make a call. So they didn't make a call for some reason. I think it's because they really are working on this Earl Thomas thing. They're going to make it happen. They're going to do what they got to do, but they're, you know, negotiating back and forth or waiting for the right time. I don't think they're negotiating yet, but they're waiting for, you know, Seattle has come to the conclusion that they're happy with their safeties they got now. They're playing the best, you know, the coach Pete Carroll said the most outstanding player in their practice right now is their starting new safety. So it looks like they're happy, they're moving on. Management wants to get rid of Earl Thomas, make the move. So it's starting to be more stress on Seattle and less stress on, yeah, I had a New Year's Eve party here, bro. So that's what that was. So that's where we are in the safety situation. I got one more. Yeah, and that's the thing. There's actually 18 teams. 18 teams right now have the money to go get Earl Thomas. So it's a little scary, guys. The cap money is out there for a lot of these teams. 18 teams have the cap money to go get him. It's just he's an expensive asset. You know, he's a Lamborghini at safety. You know, which I did see a Lamborghini broke down here at the front of my neighborhood this morning, and I tried to stop and help him, but he said he had somebody on the way. But Lamborghinis break down as well. You know, we could get Earl Thomas paid this money, and he could be on the IR, the injured list as well. So you've got to be careful. I think he's in the prime of his career. We need to go get him, but the Cowboys they're going to do it. I really think it's a 90%, 99% chance. It's just got to be done at the right time. We're picking up these safeties that probably won't even make the team. If they make the team, we've got to cut somewhere else. We've got to get rid of a Rico Gathers. We've got to get rid of a Mike White. We've only got 53 spots, and these safeties are really valuable on special teams, extremely valuable. Right now, two of our best special team players are Heath and Frazier. We can't play those guys at special teams, run them every play at safety, have no backups. No, we are extremely, extremely thin at safety, guys. And they have not been impressed with Cam Kelly. They've actually moved the free agent up above him, the new guy. So we'll see. And I agree with you, D. Will. If we don't do something at safety and we come short, anything that happens this year that's not a Super Bowl, because I know we're going to be a good team. If we don't win the Super Bowl, everyone is going to say, we lost the Super Bowl because the coaching staff and management didn't go get Earl Thomas. We went 11-5, or we went 12-4, but you know why we didn't win the Super Bowl or we lost that playoff game? Because we were missing one guy, and Earl Thomas would have made the difference, and if we don't do that, we're going to be in trouble. So let me finish up this. This is the last statement on concerning Earl Thomas.
What about the possibility, though, of saying, okay, I've got a little excess cap money this year,
and we have the money.
One-year deal.
Give him a one-year deal, pay him out.
You know what, Mickey?
Would you do it?
Yes, I would.
Right here.
But I wouldn't do it for a second-round pick.
Right.
If he told me, I said, listen, I'm gonna, okay, you know,
I take him off your hands.
I'll take him off your hands, and here's my third-round pick. Because I was willing to give it to. And the only reason I was willing to give it to is because conversations were had during the draft at 50. Dallas was willing to move at 50. So that, if I'm John Snyder, I'm like thinking, wait a minute, you were willing to move at 50, but all of a sudden a player came available. So to me, I'm thinking, Okay, let's see. But if you're making a 1-year deal and hopeful,
Just real quick, I'll get this started again. The player that came available was we were talking in the draft. We were about to trade our second round pick, and the Giants took Hernandez, which we were waiting on him as well. But when our 50th pick came up, Connor Williams was still there, and they said, you know what? Right now, Connor Williams is more important to us. We can only get him now. We can get Earl Thomas later if we want him. But our only chance at this lineman is right now. If we don't take him, if we trade and we get Earl Thomas, now we still have to fix the line. What would happen then is we would have had to draft a lineman in the 3rd round, and we wouldn't have got Michael Gallup. So that's where we stand on that. That's how that happened. They had a 2nd round pick. They were about to hand it to Seattle, but Connor Williams was there. So they pulled that pick back. They took Connor Williams. They said, we'll get Earl Thomas later.
hopeful that you could sign him after the season, then I'm not doing it for a 2nd round pick.
Or just say I'm doing a 1-year deal and I get to see a little bit more of Xavier Woods. I buy some time there. I got myself covered.
Doing it for 3.
And I haven't invested long-term money in a safety.
Who would be your left guard if they had pulled that trade off and gotten Earl Thomas with the 2nd round pick?
They would have to draft someone in the 3rd round.
Yeah,
They would have Michael Gallup.
Yeah, there would be other guys that if you had.
Right, you would have drafted somebody.
You had to draft somebody to play that spot. You're not going to bring back Jonathan Cooper and those guys. You just weren't going to do that.
I'd have been Marcus Martin.
Yeah, it might be,
But and he's hurt, so 7 children.
5-time Pro Bowler.
Yeah.
And 4
Well, that's the best explanation I can give right now, guys, on the Earl Thomas thing. It looks like, as these guys know, they're in the Cowboy loop every day. It is being discussed how to do the Earl Thomas thing. It's just, what does Seattle want? What is the Cowboys going to give up? The bottom line is, if Earl Thomas walks away, they get a compensatory pick in 2020. Not this year. They got to wait 2 years and they get a 3rd round pick. If we trade them a 3rd rounder, we could trade them a 3rd rounder for 2018. It moves that player up a couple years. They get a better compensatory pick, or not better, they'll get the same pick, but they'll get it earlier. And a trade, they're looking at maybe a tight end or a backup quarterback or an offensive lineman. Offensive lineman we just don't have right now. They could do Mike White or one of the tight ends. I hope not Rico Gathers. It could be him. Like I said, that situation with the fire Jason Garrett Instagram thing that happened a while back is probably why Rico Gathers is in the hot seat. They just don't trust him. But every time Rico Gathers steps on the field, he does something special. He does an amazing. He's the human highlight film of the Dallas Cowboys. If you guys remember Dominique Wilkins back in the Atlanta Hawks, Dominique Wilkins back in the Atlanta Hawks. That's what Rico Gathers is. Every time he does something, it's an amazing catch. I just wanted to check in on the page real quick. Tom Payne, I don't know what your right tackle is, but our Seattle is investing more on offense. We need linemen. I don't think guys are willing to trade any of your linemen for Earl Thomas. Hey, Tom Payne, I really appreciate you jumping in, brother, if you're still there. We welcome all football guys here. I am a diehard Cowboy fan, but I love watching football. I love great players. This year, one of the teams I want to watch is Oakland. As you guys know, we lost Ryan Switzer to Oakland. I was a big Ryan Switzer fan. I still am. Also, they got P.J. Hall in the 2nd round, which was a big-time pickup. That guy is going to be sick. You guys remember that name, P.J. Hall from Oakland? He's from Texas. He's a local guy here. Amazing stats at the Pro Day. His Pro Day, combining his numbers, were better than Ndamukong Suh and J.J. Watt. If you take Ndamukong Suh and J.J. Watt's combine and put it together and take the best numbers from those two guys, this guy P.J. Hall from Oakland was better than that. You look him up on YouTube. He has some videos from Sam Houston State, and he has some videos there from Oakland already. The first game I did watch. I didn't get to see the second game that Oakland just played. I'm gonna watch that later this week. But that guy is off the chain, sick defensive tackle, 6'1", 310 pounds, 38-inch vertical. The guy had 14 block kicks. 14 block kicks in college. That's crazy. I mean, that's insane. I don't even know how someone could have 14. I wonder if the Raiders will trade Mack away. Yeah, all these guys are starting to get expensive, you know, and teams are starting to realize you spend too much on 6 or 7 players, and that's part of what the Dez Bryant thing. If you spend too much money on 6 or 7 players, then you don't have money. You don't have money for the backup guys when you get thin. If you lose one of those $20 million a year players or a $16 million a year player, you know, you've got to have 2 guys to back that up. You got to have guys that can switch out and rotate, and maybe one guy is flexible. You can play him at strong safety and weak and free safety. And if that guy gets hurt, now you've got this guy really is only good at strong safety, or this guy's really only good at defensive tackle. So it really changes things up. Let's see, going back to the highlight. Yeah, the human highlight reel. That's what Rico Gathers reminds me of. He reminds me of Dominique Wilkins. He's crazy, dude. That catch he made in practice was sick. The catch he made in the game was even crazier. That probably could have been a pick 6. And Rico Gathers jumped up, reached over him, snatched the ball away, and went down the sideline. And not only did he go down the sideline, he didn't get tackled right away. If you saw the defensive player hit him really solid in the hip, he kept his balance, landing on one hand, and he would have been going down the sidelines if he didn't step out of bounds. He would have, who knows how far he would have taken that. He had a very similar play, his first catch in the NFL. If you go back and watch old Rico Gathers highlights, which I'm only talking a year and a half ago, he had a catch in the flats where 11 players hit him. A couple of the players were repeat. They got up, ran, and hit him again. But he got hit in the flats. He got hit in the hip. He went down on one hand, kept his balance, got up, took off running again, did a 360, and like 6 guys jumped on him and drug him to the ground. That was, to me, his first catch in the NFL. It was a preseason game. His very first catch was crazy, and that was the only catch he had that first year. Then the next year, as you guys know, he had the two games that he had 7 catches, 2 touchdowns, and so forth. So I'm on the Rico Gathers bandwagon, really big still. I want to go back to the chat box and say hello to some guys. Hey, appreciate you being there. Appreciate you guys jumping in, Stevie Mack and Cowboy X Factor, Pedro Melendez. I might have to get my wife to help me with that name.
Melendez.
Oh, what is it, honey?
Melendez.
I'm sorry, Pedro Melendez. I'm sorry, brother. But I appreciate you guys jumping in. It came out. Just go back, watch the video from the beginning. I know it's a little long, but there's a lot of good information that those guys from the Cowboys Roundtable gave about Earl Thomas, about the updates, about what's going on in Seattle. And as you guys saw in the video in the beginning, Earl Thomas stated, and that was on December 24th last year, when that game was over, he went to the locker room. Then in the locker room, he stated, I just was talking to the Cowboys because if Seattle gets rid of me, that's the only place I want to go. Now he has stated, I want to be the #1 paid cornerback in the NFL. That's he's at Seattle. I don't think he has to be the #1 paid safety. I said cornerback. I don't think he has to be the #1 paid safety if he's playing where he's happy, where his family is. He's down in Austin right now. He's been there this whole time. He's down in Austin training with the University of Texas. So he's not leaving Texas unless he has to. He's happy holding out. He's lost a lot of money, but he hasn't been assessed that money yet. Seattle is holding that money over his head. If he goes back, they don't have to penalize him that. That's Seattle's decision. But the thing is, Cam Chancellor did the same thing. They penalized him completely every dime he owed, they made him pay it. So he's going to have to pay that money. He knows it because of the Cam Chancellor situation in 2015. So his deal is, I'm holding out. I want to be the #1 paid safety. Either pay me or let me go to Dallas. That's the only place he wants to go. Hey, sorry about that, Pedro. Yeah, I pronounce very good Spanish. I haven't learned it yet. I just need some time. Me and my wife have been together for 6 years. I'll be learning Spanish as we go. But I appreciate you guys jumping in. I appreciate the comments. Please subscribe to the channel. Please jump on there, hit the like button, because that moves the videos up to the top. And I'll get my microphone later this week. I know the volume's not so good. And I'll get the Appreciated X Factor. Thank you very much, guys. I'll be doing a video as soon as my microphone comes in to test all that out. Support the other channels, Jobu, Law, Okoye, all those guys, man. They do great work. They all do stuff for our Cowboys, and they keep us interested. And the biggest thing, I fell in love with this because being in the military, traveling for the government, I do a lot of traveling for the government. I can keep in touch with the Cowboys now because of the internet. You know, I couldn't do that. 20 years ago, before there was internet, if I was in Germany, I just didn't get to watch a game. I didn't get any news. You know, there was no internet to look things up on. But this is really good information that we can share. We can talk to each other. We can put our ideas out. And I apologize for not being able to use the chat box too much today, but I will. Once I get the camera working and everything, and get my new microphone in and all of that stuff, I will have that in Afghanistan too. I'll be leaving for Afghanistan the 2nd of September. So that's the trade deadline. That's when this trade has to be done, or then Earl Thomas really starts losing money. So we've only got 2 weeks and something will be done. So appreciate you guys jumping in. Thanks, guys. Enjoy the channel. Please like and subscribe to the videos. That way we can move this YouTube page up on the search engine. Take care, guys.